Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. I have now 2008, I think it is. Let me just double check that. Yeah, 2008 Land Rover LR3 instrument cluster. This is sent to me by my Kostakis, I think from New York. Normal concerns about on and off and multiple um, codes. I am, as you see, already took the cluster apart. I showed this cluster before in the other video for Joseph in Michigan, which I'm still having there. That was a non-repairable instrument cluster. Sadly for the customer, he sent it someplace else and they just butcher it. But not the case with Mike. This board looks pretty nice, pretty clean. I have removed everything. As you can see, I have the cluster setting in my bench, not only on the bench, on foams, so I'm not going to damage or scratch anything on the other side. I'm always very careful when I'm doing the repairs, and I got the solder and iron and everything ready to go to remove major components that I always do, capacitors, diodes, resolder the entire board, clean it, and then retest, which is going to be the part that I'm going to show. If you want to see one of the normal areas that I resolder, connectors, the microprocessors, all connectors, right? And I inspect the board for cold solder joints, which is very common due to the solder they have to use to comply with the EPA. But yeah, this is very common on these instrument clusters, and that's also why they add this conformer coating, that yellowish that you see around some of the components, is to prevent that cracking and also the migration of the thin solder. It will create something is called thin hands, and if they don't put that, it will try to migrate and short circuit. So, but that's what they put that on there. I don't do, I don't need to do that because I use a different solder, and that also will make the cluster last very, very long time without failures. And this is the connector. This instrument cluster uses just one connector. These are the stepper motors, and that's it. All right, so this has also a speaker for the alarm, just a warning alarm, and you'll see that when I do the test. But yeah, everything on this cluster looks nice and untouched. All these markings you see here are from factory. Very common to see that. And I'm like it because everything is good. One thing that I want to show is, because I was referring that in Joseph's instrument cluster, is this pin. You see that white pin in here? That keeps the front, right here, sorry, that front face and the glass in place correctly so it doesn't jam on the stepper motor. Very important. All right, let me proceed with the repairs and then connect it over to the test equipment with the scanner, and we will see this one working pretty shortly. All right, guys, stay tuned. I'll be right back. All right, guys, my cluster is ready. I already even reset the needles or calibrate the needles, let's say, to do that correctly. I leave that paper in there so he will recognize that because that's all the fault codes in the vehicle that he sent me as a scan report that has actually the big number. On these clusters, I cannot do an auto scan like when you are connected to the car because even though the bin is there, the computer needs to go through the gateway and then get recognized, but that's very normal. All right, so first let me power this up and you will see the needle finding is rest position. This is very important that happens, and then when we put the ignition, since there is nothing connected to the gauge, to the gauges, right? We will have all these coming on, right? So the temperature has to go up, otherwise something is abnormal, tire pressure blinking, and then so on. Mileage wise, I have 107,691. On his page, it shows us 107,674, so they drove the vehicle a little more after this was captured. Again, not a problem. All right, so let me move this so no information is on the way, and it's less bright with that there. So we're gonna have to do manual selection. So we're gonna go over to Land Rover, right? And in this one, we're going to select, one second guys. All right, where we were. Okay, so we're going to select the Land Rover. This is just a normal. You will do this in any scanner when you have to do a manual selection. This is the top-down Phoenix Max. This is my go-to tool every time in here. And we're going to do a manual selection. We're going to select the Discovery for this one and then Discovery 3. Um, in here, you can select either of these ones because the cluster is pretty much the same on the vehicles, but I usually use the B6. I can use the B8. Let's see if it reads it or not. For this one, you can use the B8 or the B6, either way, for, again, the bench, right? Because all I'm looking for in here is for the IPC instrument panel, right? So we select that, we're going to enter, and we're going to over to the actuation test. As always, the plus and minus, and that's how it is with this vehicle. If you haven't seen this before, one of the pointers or one of the gauges is, I don't know why, I think it's the tachometer, the RPM, right? In the start to show 50%, it shows like 51%. And let me select that one first. So when I click in here, before I start a selection, I want to, you see it says 12.75. I'm not sure why, but it's the only one that does it like that. So when I go over to 50%, and instead of 50, we got 51%. So when I click start, this goes, yes, a little, it's like almost in between 4 and not the second line after the 4, but almost like in the middle of that. And I know that is the perfect calibration due to the 51%. So we click exit, and that makes the needle come back. We're going to do the same thing on the field gauge, but on the field gauge, and this is the difference, when I click in here over for 50%, now you see that goes in 5% increments, and we can go over to 50. I like to see always in the middle. So when we click the start, we see the fuel exactly at the middle. We click exit, and then that goes into empty, right? So that's perfect. Engine temperature, this is the same, 5% increments. Not sure why the RPM is so weird, but I'm used to it, right? So as long as you know where it has to be, then you know that your calibrations and your motors are reading properly, because this is very important. All right, so temperature in 50%, and we are indeed in 50%. Again, I already did this, but for my records and his, I have to do this, and I do always this for all the customers. All right, so last will be the speedometer. We're gonna go the same thing, 50%, and we are there. And I can see the needle right in the middle, right? So we're looking for right in the middle, 12 o'clock exactly, right? So that's perfect. And we are exit. So this is a full repair. We have communication. The video is the best test you can do. You know, I do for my customers. There is no auto repair facility that does this. I know what I'm doing. I check and I share that I'm doing the test for every single component that I repair. All right, guys, if you have a cluster for an LR3, please just send it to me. Don't let anyone butcher your instrument cluster. That is not repairable. The first time that I cannot repair one, but it's because it was just damaged so much. If you have not seen that video, go over to, it will be probably the one before this one. I'm not sure how or when I'm going to be putting this one up, but I always do it really quickly, so most likely will be. Thank you so much for visiting the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. And again, if you need to send something, send it to here. I'm also forgot to show you the connections on here are, at least on the bench, are pretty easy. This is a 32 pin connector. There's only one connector on the back, and there is marked. So you can see what pin 1 is, 16, 17, and then 32, which is the corners. We need on pin 1 and 2, kind of high and kind of low. Pin 15 is ignition. Pin 16 is battery voltage. Disregard 17 and 18. I was just doing something else. And then grounds on pin 31s and 32. That's all I need for that. Again, and then if you are looking forward to send something to me, yes, this is my website landing page. This is the home page. Don't try to book anything. Again, I'm probably going to change because people is getting confused. I'm trying to, and that's what I keep this on the tab. Please select the contact or call me. The contact is the best. I like to get things on writing, so emails are the best, and then after that we can have a conversation, or you can use the message right here on the right side of the screen. If you scroll down, I just put information in here. You can book a repair. Book a repair is a very um, brought out information because it says marine and ECM, and this is one thing that I want to explain to people. This is for marine and automotive computers and no SAR, no communication. And I even put in there, please email us as Mike and myself our diagnostics. It's a 1 hour. This is the test fee. It's starting at 250. I actually going to change that because my test is 200. And I explained this to all the customer. If the component I reproduce in the problem is indeed in the component, the test fee will be included on the repair cost. But if I check your component and everything is good, it will be just a test fee, and I will give you a full report. And I try to guide my customers and technicians on to do some tests on the vehicles if it's necessary. And you will see again all more. This is just again just so to start a communication in between us, and then we can start. This is not going to request for any payments. This is just to start the communication in between the two parties, right? The customer and me, the business. That's it. So don't get confused with that. I like to keep it like this because it's an easy way for people to try to contact me. I am probably going to change maybe that to book, I don't know, a contact, or I have to rename it somehow because some people don't understand what that means. And oops. All right, let me stop this. The cluster is okay. It was just that fell. I was using it as a stand on the back, and it's rubber so slide off, but it's protected. I have the cover on the back, and nothing is running there. But yeah, you can see again if you want to contact me, you want to send anything, Mike Salazar Diagnostics. Again, just start a conversation. That is the best place to reach me is by mail, email, or again, get my number and call me, and then we go from there. All right, guys, thank you so much for visiting the channel. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Bye bye.